Hi, Gemini Capital YouTube viewers. Today we are joined by Mr. Max Sali, the CEO of Monumental Energy. Hi, Max. Thanks so much for taking the time to sit down and welcome for your first ever official visit to the Gemini Capital YouTube channel.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for investing in the company.
Amazing. So, since this is your first official debut on our channel, I was hoping you could give us a little bit of background on yourself and also how you got involved in Monumental Energy.
Well, I started off as an investor, then began building vehicles and running companies. And how Monumental kind of began was I started off investing in New Zealand back in 2009 and did very well off a few companies in New Zealand, Tag Oil, New Zealand Energy, which is now our operating partner. And they were tremendous wins. And for a long time, the oil and gas sector in New Zealand took a big downfall along with the price of oil and gas. The old government was very against it, and the new government is very for it. And so when I saw an opportunity to kind of come back into the country, that's exactly what I did. And so Monumental Energy took a position in our operating partner as a shareholder, and then from a stepping stone point, did a funding agreement to become essentially what we are right now as a royalty company, where we fund workover oil wells. We've put a number of those back into production, about five right now. Um, and kind of the next stage for Monumental is to apply for our own exploration blocks, especially in gas. And there are also some oil blocks that we are applying for. And so, what we're going to start to see for Monumental is applications being accepted in the gas sector. Actually, if you see our news today, we had our first block accepted in the gas space. Monumental will have the majority of that, which is fantastic. It only took about 18 months, a lot of man hours to get that done. But going into the energy sector, it's especially in New Zealand, it's an incredible place to work. The government is fully on side. They have a fund now where they're willing to finance companies to drill fresh gas wells because there's such a lack of gas and gas exploration that the gas price in New Zealand is probably, as far as I'm aware, the highest in the world, anywhere from 10 to 15 USD per MCF, where in Canada, it's like $2 Canadian per MCF. For oil, you're getting Brent crude pricing, which is, because of the war, you're close to $90 USD. So very high energy costs in New Zealand. And by bringing more gas on, will lower the costs for consumers in the country, which is needed. And the government is very on side with that. And so, what they've done is they've opened up a lot of these exploration permits. We've applied for those. We're starting to get those. And I think what you're going to see for Monumental over the fall is a lot of catalysts that will really show investors the value of where Monumental can be by the end of the year. And I think that's why I'm very happy to be running this company and spent so many hours kind of behind the scenes over the summer building this business.
Amazing. That's great to hear. And it sounds like a lot of exciting catalysts coming up. So I'd like to dive a little bit into some of the work you do and a little bit into your projects. Can you tell us a little bit more about those projects and maybe some stuff about the regions or infrastructures that make them stand out as key targets for you?
Yeah, so everything right now we have is all oil production onshore in the Taranaki Basin. Everything's within a very tight radius, maybe 10 kilometers. We put a bunch of workover wells back online over the last 6 months that were essentially, it was more mechanical issues, not reservoir issues. They just needed some love. So we had those wells put back online. What we've actually had done is a proprietary chemical that should be in New Zealand in a few weeks, and it's kind of like a dry powdered organic chemical, and we use it to soak the wellbore, which should substantially increase production for a very low cost. And so we're always looking at effective ways to increase production on these workover wells that have kind of been lacking over the last 5 to 10 years, and they have a lot of potential. And so right now, what happens is we fund these workover wells, we get 75% of our payback, and then we go into a royalty. So that's a nice little revenue model for us. In terms of the infrastructure, all the infrastructure is there. And this is the nice thing about it is, everything is conventional. We don't have to build anything. 10, 15 years ago, a lot of these public companies, when there was financings done, a lot of the money went to building infrastructure. All the infrastructure is in good condition. Our operating partner, New Zealand Energy, is just updating the liner on one of their tankers at a facility they own 50% of, very close by, and they'll be able to hold about 6,000 barrels a day on site. So once that lining is done and we get this chemical to soak some of these wells in the area, we'll be able to increase production. We have the tankers to get to port, and everything is within a 50-kilometer radius to get to port. So it's a very easy area play onshore, and it's a very safe area play. And so it's such a great place to work. But the next step for us is to go more into the gas, and there is tons of gas infrastructure. It's like in BC here, we pay our Fortis BC, and these companies are operating at 25% capacity because of the lack of gas. So you're having rolling blackouts in New Zealand because of the lack of energy and high energy prices. And so everything is available. We have all the geophysics shot. We know the gas is there. We have the infrastructure. We have the government on side. And I think it's just, a matter of how long it's taken just to get through the government process to get these permits, and then essentially drill fresh wells or put old gas wells back online. And I would say, in terms of risk, low risk from what we're doing now through the end of the year. And that should significantly increase the value of our share price.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear. And I know you touched a little bit upon your exciting news that came out recently already,
Yeah.
but can you tell us why this news is so significant for our viewers who might not be familiar with it?
Yeah, so this is probably one of the first five catalysts that we have coming between now and the end of the year. About 18 months ago, the government announced that they'd be opening up blocks again for bid, which, if the last government shut everything down. So this is the first time in over a decade that this has happened. So these are known gas fields. And our technical team, called 3TCF, they're all based in New Zealand. It's a private company, have been assessing these blocks for years. We came to the agreement of a certain block that we wanted to bid on. We bid on it. And when I say bid, it doesn't mean that you just say, hey, we're going to give you this amount of money, and the highest bidder by, nominal value gets it. No, it's you have to meet certain criteria. So over 18 months, we've put in applications. They come back to us, the government, then we resubmit and do certain things. And finally, there was just a 90-day period, kind of a blackout period, where someone else could bid on that block. And, if you came in late to the game, you wouldn't have a time to go back and forth with the government. So we gave ourselves enough time to get that submitted. It was accepted by the government, and now they're doing their in-person review. We have meetings with them next week, and then hopefully in October we get those blocks granted. On top of that, the government also will be issuing funds to assist with kind of an incentive to have companies to drill, and those are very good terms. So everything is working out very, very well. And I think that the benefit of that is that, it really shows people that the government is open for business. The people in the country want this done too. There's an election at the end of the year. So far, the current government looks like they're going to win that election. And I just think that for the next decade, you're going to see a lot more energy come online in New Zealand, and that will benefit Monumental for a long time to come.
Yeah, that all sounds very, very exciting. And kind of moving forward from that a little bit, we always have or often have investors kind of watching our YouTube channel. So I'd like to ask you, what do you think differentiates Monumental from other companies that might be competing for investors or attention and capital?
Um, that's a good question. You know what? I mean, I think, at least for our sector, I'm a investor in a lot of companies. I've done gold, I've done lithium, I've sold a lithium company. The nice thing about being in this specific sector is when we put these wells back online, is there's a tanker truck that day taking the oil to port, so your revenue is almost immediate. Whereas if you go and you drill a great hole in mining, maybe in 10 years you'll be in production, right? So we're fully funded. We have an amazing shareholder base. We have a number of shareholders that are 9.9%. We are starting to receive our capital back, and then a bit of the royalty. And we also will most likely receive some government funding to go and drill some new wells. So being able to have non-dilutive capital, the government on side, good shareholders, and almost immediate revenue is an amazing thing, especially when the prices are so high. And so I think it's a perfect storm going into the fall. And the world is a very messed up, interesting place right now, right? And so if I'm going to do business right now, New Zealand is a perfect place to do it. And very happy to be there, and very happy to have a very good team behind me, and work with such quality people, and have a very good operating partner. And so it's taken a long time to get here. The stock hasn't performed quite where I, how I wanted it. But I think we're going to see a big increase from now until Christmas.
Amazing. That's great to hear. And kind of diving a little bit more into that and kind of what we can expect for the rest of 2026, I'd appreciate if you could share maybe a little bit more insight or catalyst on what we can expect in the last couple months of the year.
All right. Well, if you go to our presentation, I think it's page 10. There's kind of like the blue sky opportunities. So what we're kind of working on right now is there's three things. We're working on farming in on an asset called the Mata Block, which is near our Copper Moki project. We've been working on this for almost 2 years. I was down in New Zealand 2 years ago, September, looking at this asset. The geophysics show a target about 20 times the size of Copper Moki. It's only about 3 kilometers away. Copper Moki's produced about 1 million barrels to date, and this looks like to be 20 times that size. Should be fairly easy to permit. We have an operator to do that, so we'll farm in on that. We're getting very close to signing that. There is application extensions that we've done that we're working on now for the Nairi wells that we put back online that will cover that. There's a number of wells we can drill, fresh wells there called the Beaconsfield Block, which is also in our presentation. And then the government funding too, which would be fantastic. We can get some non-dilutive cash. So you're going to see a decent amount of news flow, but I think all of these catalysts will really reset the value of our share price. And with the quality of shareholders we have and the capital that we have, I think we're gonna see a good run in the share price. I am definitely one of the largest shareholders of the company. I've bought a ton of shares in the market over the years, and if this works out for me, it works out for everyone. If it doesn't work out for me, right? So I've been waiting for this for a long time to work out, and I hope it does now.
Amazing. That's great to hear. And so exciting to hear that there's so many things that we can look forward to in terms of news in the coming months. But we're coming up on the end of our time today. So I just want to
Okay.
take a moment to thank you again for your time and for joining us on our channel this afternoon. I'm excited to keep up with the company, and I wish you and the rest of the team continued success.
Thank you very much for your time. Have a wonderful day.